welcome back to Krown Cave, waking up for a little bit of a very early Saturday morning over here in not Helsinki, Finland, but Chicago, Illinois. My God, still absolutely jet lagged, so I do apologize about any slightly incoherent thoughts, but I'm going to do my best to force this one out. Just drank a little bit of coffee as a help. And with all of that said, I also do want to address something that I've been asked quite a few times, just kind of clear some things up. For the new stream times, I'm actually going to be aiming to do the live stream around the same time that I was doing it in Europe, so it won't change all that much. I think it might be just slightly later, maybe like a half an hour to an hour later, but I do like actually doing it in the morning here, local time. So it'll probably be somewhere around the time of about 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which will put you at somewhere like, what would it be? I mean, like maybe 3, 4, or 5 London time, Western European time, something like that. So we'll figure it out with this coming week. But that reminds me to talk about the next, my next order of business. I actually wrote out a little bit of things that I need to talk about today because I've been completely terrible at remembering. And that is all of my station has been delayed once again. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Very, 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 very annoying. And believe me, I am not very happy about it. Been spending a lot of time on the phone with the movers the quote unquote professional movers who were, handling all my stuff from Estonia and Finland, taking it here. And unfortunately, they've delayed it once again. So hopefully early next week, I'll be able to get my hands on my full station. So that means, I'm still running with about 25% of my full setup right now. Still using my mobile setup, which is certainly less than optimal, but it's good enough for now. So unfortunately, no video for a little bit more time. And with all of that said, I do want to remind myself to also talk about the sale that's going on for the 4th of July. And we'll just get into the live stream right here, as I do want to bring up the code. There we go. Freedom 20. And that is for for all of the programs going on till tomorrow at the end of the week. And again, just happy 4th of July to everyone out there, all the celebrators. Happy, just regular Thursday, Friday, Saturday to the non-celebrators out there. Or if you're in the United Kingdom, well, sorry about that one, but you guys were kind of being assholes. Anyways, that goes for all the programs, of course. All the payment plans, even out up to, about 10 months for some of them. And of course, more importantly, I want to make sure it's a good fit. I have no intent to sell anything to anyone that they don't need. Of course, I always want to say first and foremost, my main source of income is from my trading activities. And so make sure that this program is a good fit for you. All of the links are in the description of the videos. Check out the reviews for them. I should probably update some reviews as well. And of course, if you're in doubt, don't get it. They are designed for people who are very hardcore, who want to do this typically in the sense of a living. They are very long for the technical analysis program and the options program, both 35 hours plus long. The technical analysis program, not just technical analysis, but also risk management, position management, understanding market dynamics, and of course a ton of bonus modules plus access to a couple of proprietary indicators. The options program is just with regards to the derivative products options. That's something that I think very few people are going to be interested in, because it is just taking the whole equation and making it one deeper, although we'll talk about a lot of it today. And then the Joule indicators, just access to the Joule indicators and a few videos on how to use them. So certainly not the same sort of intensive type thing. A little bit more of, instant gratification, if you want to call it that. Anyways, I'm going to get rid of this because I want to talk about some goddamn magic in it money. And with Bitcoin perking its head back up above yesterday's daily dildo high, I would say that this is actually looking okay right here. And we're actually going to start to see a lot of things switch around. So I do want to follow up in the trade that I did yesterday during the video upload. And that will be, and that is shown right here. So I bought, I think, some like 50,000 or 100,000 contracts on these December futures yesterday, and I was short a little bit because I wanted to cover myself. So now I'm actually long once again, about 15 Bitcoin exposure to the upside. Now I actually want to get into a little bit of options talk right now, as I think it's appropriate because I have been getting a few questions about this. But basically, what I'll do is I'll bring you on over to this sheet right on over here. And this is the good old smorgasbord. And what we're looking at right here is actually just the weekly expiration coming on for this next Friday. And what I've done is I've actually done basically a couple of spreads. So, there's probably some sort of a weird name for this, like the inverted fucking butter knife bullshit, whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. I never think of options in that way. I only think of it as spreads, strangles, straddles, and covers, essentially. And pretty much all strategies are in some way, mediated from that. And what I've done here is I've basically covered the 11,000 strike for 8 of those Bitcoins. So So I really have a much reduced exposure. Again, my priorities right now are to, well, set up my new place, so I won't be focusing on trading all that much. So I do want to hold those underlying spot positions. But the way that this kind of gives me a way, a way forwards is I can hold those underlying spot positions, of course, on the futures as well. But I can also kind of take profit with them as well. So I sold these 8 contracts at the 11,000 strike for something like $750. So that covers me all the way up to 750, and then above there, I'm still covered. It's just I don't make any money. And I'm covered all the way down to 11,000 with those as far as risk management goes. So it gives, it's kind of reduced the overall position, and that's why I really like it. It gives you a lot of options with how to manage things going forwards. Then I put on a little bit of a spread, buying the 11,500 strike right there. So if we do get back above there, I'll have another 5 Bitcoin on top of that. So that'll bring it up to what is it? About 12 or 13 Bitcoin. Long cumulative, and then I've spread out the 12,000 strike calls just because I wanted to get rid of a little bit of premium. If we do get back above there, I'll actually just end up buying some, buying some more futures against that. So for right now, I'm quite happy with this position, especially on my streamer account, as I don't want to have too big positions. This is about what I'm comfortable with, on this account, because I do want, I do want to treat it as a legitimate account. I don't want to do the degen gambling that I think a lot of people, want to make a big deal of. I want to show real trading and how you can build up an account over a long period of time. Anyways, with all of that said, let's get into the actual analysis. And you do see that Bitcoin is still holding that yellow 21 exponential moving average. So the area that we spoke about yesterday obviously led on into the higher time frames. This is what I really want to focus on here, because when we talk about something like this is pure trading. If you probably read into my voice yesterday that I was really not happy to take this position when I bought down around here. But the reason why I bought down around here is because we had not broken the white 200 simple moving average. And remember, what we've been looking at for the past 6 months, let me actually get it on right here. So let's just get rid of everything except for the 2 moving averages that I want to speak about right now. And there we go. So we're going to be looking at the 2-hour blue 377 exponential moving average and the white 200 simple. And my strategy was yesterday is that, hey, the white 200 simple has been a pretty damn good pivot for Bitcoin, going forwards here. And if we actually back test this and pull it on all the way out to February, where the market really turned around, it started to actually gain bullish momentum back around here. Yeah, about early February, middle of February. These 2 moving averages have been a great, insightful measurement of where we are within this phase. Whenever we break the white 200 simple moving average, we typically go down and accumulate around the blue 377 exponential moving average, and it ends up being excellent buys. You can see right here, boom, 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 and it just sounds like a fucking sounds like a goddamn party right now. But my point is, each and every time that it does that, the blue 377 exponential moving average holds, and then once we break back above the white 200 simple, it's glory times. And you can also see that the white 200 simple before then, if it doesn't break, it acts as a nice support as a corollary anyways. And this has been, performed for the last few months. So we have another example right here, breaks it, boom, down, and accumulates, and then we break back above it, and very, very massive move from about 5,000 to 8,000. Then same thing right on over here, a little bit later, breaks through the white 200 simple, comes down to the 377, and then we break back above the 200 simple and rally onwards and upwards all the way from about 8,200 from entry to almost $14,000 price per Bitcoin. So a lot of, these things really do matter to me. And this is why I was very happy to be a buyer on this level yesterday, not because it's always going to work out, but because it offers up a very easy way to manage risk. And whenever I can get as close as I can to the point that I'm going to be managing risk on, I'll take that trade every fucking time, because it's a winning setup over a long period of time. Again, not every trade is going to be guaranteed to work out. In fact, there's certainly going to be plenty that don't. But because your risk is so reduced, incorporating sort of like risk management principles with this regard, you can certainly afford to take a little bit of a loss if this one goes against. If we get a reaction as we saw yesterday. So now up about almost $500 from my entry. Sorry, not $500, $400 from my entry, and looking like Bitcoin wants a little bit more here, and I would be bullish on this. In fact, it looks like it's about to be $500. Not bad at all. So I do like to follow this up, and actually, because we are now above 11,500, my long calls just kicked in. So now I'm long another five Bitcoin. So really, I have a little bit more of an exposure than what I'm showing right now to the upside. Now, looking at our lower time frames, this is also what I wanted to follow up here as I put back on the moving averages. So let me just get those guys back on. There we go. All of our lower time frames and medium time frames were actually starting to switch around yesterday on the momentum oscillators, and that's also why, as we came down to this major support right here, I was like, well, you know what? I'm happy to put on a trade, because usually when we see the hourly, 2-hour, and 3-hour and 4-hour agree with each other, those line up for some nice trades. And we basically saw them all played out. Of course, we see hourly stocks switching around right on over here, right exactly on the low, beautifully done. Same thing with 2 hour, 3 hour. We're actually crossing fully on into the almost at the critical zone, which the 3 hour stocks have been extremely good when you're talking about when you're trading with the overall macro trends. So the bullish crosses on these have been phenomenal. Same thing with the 4 hour, but the 3 hours actually, 3 hours just a little bit more preliminary, right? So it gets you in the trade faster, and it has been just as good, if not better, than the 4 hour results. So when I look at this, and we don't need to backtest this the whole way through, but you can see where these crosses happen basically on the lows. So right here was the last one. The one before that was right on over here. The one before that was right on over here. And the one before that was right on over here for the big ones. And my God, that is why I'm always happy to take these trades, even though yesterday you probably heard through my voice that I was really not looking forwards to taking that trade. But that's, again, what I mean by saying I don't trade my opinion, I trade technical analysis. Technical analysis says, hey, you got a great trade set up here, you might as well take it. I mean, if you don't take it, then you're actually fucking yourself, essentially. So not in the good way, though, not in the healthy blue balls sense, but in the actual bad sense where, over time you'd actually be losing a shit ton of money. So that's what I really meant by that. And this is what I've learned over the years. This is probably the biggest lesson that I've learned over the years, is to not trust my emotions, to trust technical analysis over my emotions. The maths of these equations, the maths of these statistics is what you can favor over time. And that's really the basis of the technical analysis program. So, I always like to tell people, hey, if you're trying to be Mr. Moon Boy, if you're trying to be Mr. Doom Boy, if you're trying to be Mr. We're always doing this, or my opinion is this, or the news says that, or just whatever dumb shit that people say, or sorry, highly educated and altruistic things that people say. Well, basically what I'm trying to say is, that kind of stuff is not real trading. This is what I found to work best, and again, just a great example of what we saw yesterday, and I hope it really came off in my voice that I wasn't necessarily looking for that to happen. It's just I will take that trade though. Anyways, whoa, we got all the way up to 11,600. I didn't even see that. Wow, powerful Bitcoin. Anyways, looking at our other, going over here to the 4 hour. 4 hour just looks like it's kind of flagging out and getting ready for another move to the upside. We do see that we did create a series of higher lows as well. If you want more of a structural basis for taking this trade, both ways equally valid. I mean, you could have just as easily done it through these ways, but I like it when basically everything lines up. And well, this is an example where we have more confluences than we do not. And again, just another easy way to know that likely your statistical advantage of this going in your favor is going to be increased. Anyways, looking at our 4 hour stokes, we do see a fresh cross the upside, and we're actually going to be getting out of the bearish control zone on this first. Not on this first, but on this next tick. We do see 4 hour RSI looking very constructive as well. Actually rallying off the exponential here. I like this. I think that it's going to work its way back up into the bullish control zone. Again, I'm probably going to be called a fucking bulltard, and I have been a bulltard for the last 4, 5, 6 months, but it's been a fucking uptrend. So I'd much rather be a bulltard in an overall uptrend than be a smart bear in an uptrend, and vice versa for the other side. Again, I always like to repeat this for the new people here. If you were around last year, I was getting called a fucking bear tard left, right, and center when I was saying Bitcoin was going to break 6,000 and go down much further. And you know what? I mean, maybe I was a bear tard, but at the end of the day, it's better to be a bear tard in a bear market than be an optimistic, smart bull, right? So that's always what I want to get out is just the psychology of the market. People get swept up in the emotions, of course, and more importantly, it's best to go off of things that are documentable and tangible, if you want to call it that. So yeah, looking at 4 hour here, overall, the story is out of consolidation. Even though we are looking at moves in the lower time frames, and they do suggest that we have a little bit more here to go to the upside, the overall picture is that of consolidation. The reason why I say that is because even on our 4 hour time frame right here, you can see historical volatility percentile is still pretty fucking high. And again, remember, this is mean reverting, so we just had a massive expansion, and I'd say that we probably have probably have some more consolidation to go. And this is actually even increased the higher time frame that we go. So here's your 12 hour. You're gonna see we're still red as fuck, and we're actually well above above the moving average on this. It's not until we actually get wrangled back down below the moving average, as you see right on over here, where I'd really be looking for price action to start, moving in more, in a more volatile way, relatively, to be fair, relatively. I mean, we're still having $1,000 swings, right? But now we're talking about a number of, well over $11,000 price per Bitcoin. So $1,000 swing, it's big, but it's not, not huge in the way that you and I know that Bitcoin can move in the past. So, and same thing with the 12-hour right here. RSI looks very constructive. In fact, I think it's extremely worth mentioning that both the daily and the 12-hour, we see the RSI really just oscillating between the bullish neutral zone and the neutral zone. And that's something that we also touched on yesterday, that, hey, if I do have to lean one way, it has to be to the upside here. Just because, well, that's what our indicators are telling us. And more importantly, my signature for getting bearish yesterday, or bearish isn't the right word, but looking for some significant downside, was if we actually opened and closed a 2-hour dildo below that 200 simple that we were looking at, which was going to have confluences with likely breaking the yellow 20-minute exponential moving average on the daily, which is kind of my governor for, are we generally bullish or generally bearish? And of course, that did not happen. And well, the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And this is just looking like reaccumulation now is what it's looking like. We've created a higher low here. We've taken out the high of that dildo, and we're back above the red 10 simple. If we do close this next daily dildo above the red 10 simple moving average, I think it's a strong likelihood that Bitcoin works its way back up above 12,000, actually, probably back towards 12.3, 12.4, and takes a formal stab into the blue box territory our overhead blue box territory right here that we've had kind of melted in here for the past week or two. And of course, both these blue boxes are like the big pivots, in my opinion. Anywhere below this blue box, big problems. Probably, Bitcoin would entertain a retracement down to low 9,000s, and probably beyond 8,500 becomes a legitimate possibility if that were to happen. And by the same token, if we do take out this guy to the upside, be looking for another move back up towards 13,000 plus, 13,000, 14,000, 16,000, all areas of interest. So I know kind of like the popular thing right now, from what I see, is people calling for a move to the downside to not even 9,000, but like 8,500 or 7,000, which I just don't. You haven't heard me talk about this too much because, you've heard me talk about this a little bit, but the actionable areas for that actually becoming a reality are very far away. They're very far away right now. So until that happens, I can't be bearish. I can't be looking for those moves, and that's again the difference between my sort of mentality, and of course, plenty of people have the same sort of mentality, and somebody who's just blindly saying, we've gone up too much, we must go down now. It's like, okay, why? There's no actual rules, and of course, the worst thing that you can do is be rational in an irrational market. And this market's so fucking irrational. I mean, Jesus Christ, man, Bitcoin's barely used for fucking anything, and we're talking about there's people out there willing to buy it for almost $11,500. That's how crazy the shit is. Now, I do believe in Bitcoin long term. I am a Bitcoin believer, and I do think you can get to some of the more crazy numbers. But let's just call a spade, man. And realistically, I mean, can you use Bitcoin in your everyday life? Kind of, in a way, but it's not really reasonable. I mean, you have to go through all these hoops and stuff like that. It's not too widely acceptable or widely accepted. As is right now. The infrastructure is being built, but probably still have some time to go. Anyways, with regards to what we're looking at on these lower time frames, I actually wanted to move this up just a smidgen here. If we do see a break, well, you know what? I had this right here, and actually, I'd have to probably stick with this being the right way to chart this one. This is no, we need to go down to a lower time frame is what we need to do. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is where it should be. 11,520. If we can close this next hourly dildo above there, then yes, I would be looking for this to take another stab up into about 11,900 and probably makes a beeline for this blue box territory right here. I don't think that Bitcoin is just going to work its way back towards 12,000 to get rejected again. Is it possible? Yes. Do we have any sellers there? Probably. But I think that over time it probably actually does work its way towards. And more importantly, if we actually do get above this hump right here, if we even just trade above the high of this dildo right here at about $12,070, I don't think that this blue box is going to stop it either. I think that you probably see a pullback from there, on the shorter term time frames, but higher time frames are going to show likely a massive girthy green dildo, forcing its way up even further than that, as really there's not too much stopping you from about 13,000 after that. More importantly, or just as important, I should say, Let's actually see how the volume profile lines up with this one. And we do see, yes, perfectly lining up with it, actually. We do see a nice smidgen of, or a nice splash of higher, of a higher value node right here, or I mean, relatively. So if we do break back above there, don't really see too much stopping us. Yep, again, from this area, about 11.9. And then above 11.9, it's actually kind of free for all. As you can see, there's very low market acceptance above there. So while I do think that we might get, a pullback on a lower time frame, I do think that Bitcoin would actually work its way back up, probably back towards the high of this run. And at that point, you have to be thinking, well, how is that going to start to affect the higher time frames? And remember, yesterday was a big day for not only the way that we were closing the 2 hour, but remember, it was going to have correlation to how we closed the 2 day and the 3 day. And the 2 day closed like a fucking champ right here. And I can't be bearish on Bitcoin as long as this 2 day dildo is closing above this red 10-symbol moving average. In fact, I would even go as far as saying that as long as we don't even just take out the wick of the last 2 day dildo at about 10,755 on good old Bit Mexico, I think that the direction's up here. Again, if we do take out this guy to the downside, then yes, probably do come back down to the low. I mean, at the very least 10,000, but probably lower than that to low 9,000 and 8,500. But right here, this is looking constructive. We've come back down, tested the 21, and it gets picked up and reaccumulated almost instantly. So this is actually quite healthy. Not only that, but look at your 2 day Stokes. They're coming down to the edge of the bullish control zone now. So typically we do see some defenses played around this region just by the way that the bots and algos are programmed. And more importantly, price action. Again, we have another example where Bitcoin has a very volatile move to the downside from, what is this, 13,000 down. Let me just make sure that I'm actually recording. Okay, good. That would have sucked. We do see a very volatile move down from about 14,000 to 9,500, which we call it extremely well. And again, that comes off as arrogant. I don't mean to say it like that. What I mean to say is, those levels were predefined based off of just major market pivots. So again, trust those. And Bitcoin gets picked up, and we really have no real damage to price action, while our 2 day Stokes are allowed to just reset themselves, and they're still kind of maintaining this bullish control zone. So I actually would be looking for it to get, I'd be looking for a little bit of bot and algo activity within this region just based off of that. So what we can also say from this is that the second that Bitcoin ticks back above $12,000, from this perspective right here, I would be bullish as fuck, to put it quite bluntly, and I really like to back away from using these more aggressive terms. You can see very clearly right here, if we take it back above 12,000, the high of this dildo right here, essentially our defense dildo, if you want to call it that, the good old defense dildo. That's a great name for a sexual toy. And why do we call it toys to begin with? Why are they fucking called toys? It's like, are they for kids? No. Why do we belittle our lovely pleasure enhancers? Anyways, well, maybe not for most people listening to this, but you know what I mean. Anyways, if we do trade back above this area right here, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have a few areas of interest a little bit higher, but when we're talking about higher time frames, you really got to pull it out now and say, okay, we can look at, well, let's actually get to a fresh chart. We can look at this area right here, like 13,000, then you got 16,000 right here, but 15,000, but I'd be massively bullish if you see Bitcoin do that. So anywhere above 12,000, I think that Bitcoin's going to really start to shake this bitch up. Not only that, but we're above all major moving averages, holding them like a champ, and we do see that nice divergence between them all as well. So that tells us that trend is actually strengthening to the upside on our higher time frames. Again, doesn't mean that you can't have a pullback in the lower time frames, but higher time frames looking good, more importantly. And we do see 2 day RSI looking good here, man. It's come back down below the edge of the below the edge of the bullish control zone and immediately gets picked back on up. So I think that this is constructive. And again, just comparing this with the daily RSI, of course, it's even, looks even better, right? We're just oscillating between the bullish control zone and not even the neutral zone. So, when in doubt, pull it out is always a great rule of thumb. Looking at 3 day right here, 3 days, again, the one that probably scares me the most, but with the way that we closed yesterday's 3 day dildo as kind of, what do you want to call it, an inverted hammer, if you want to call it that. It's technically not really like an inverted hammer, but it provides a nice base of support if you want to look at it like this, where you can say, hey, if we even just take out the low of this dildo at 10,750-ish region, we're likely to come down much further down towards low 9,000s here at the very least. But for right now, this provides a nice structure, and even though we do see 3 day Stokes coming back down, I would say that, the second that we trade back above the high of this guy, again, same area, $12,050, we get a free ride back to, at the very least, 13,000 and probably beyond. We are going to be seen the green 50 exponential moving average crossing the upside of the white 200 simple, and that's just going to set the more longer term time frame trend as we've seen back, in the past. The last time that we saw this cross actually happening was way on over here in 2014, 2015. You see the green 50 crossing to the upside of the white 200 simple, and then and Bitcoin gets picked up. Actually, Bitcoin had a massive retracement right here. Holy shit, man. Very, very nasty move. In fact, what if we got something like this as they cross a 20% move to the downside? I'm curious if that would actually line up. I always do want to be aware of these sorts of things, but what if? Just what if? Would that put us? No, that'd be about a 35% retracement. So I'm not, you can't always look at it like that, but I do want to be aware of that just in case. Anyways, overall, my point is that, yes, the 3-day is still a little bit on edge here. But I'd be going with the other time frames as they look a lot more conclusive. Looking at 3-day Stokes, yeah, this is the most bearish thing to me right here. This is what makes me the most apprehensive, just because for the past, for not just like the past year, but the past history of Bitcoin, you can see that Bitcoin, once it has this kind of like double hump, the camel formation, if you want to call it that, which is just a bullshit term that I made up. Whenever we get that signature where we get our first move up into the critical zone, then pop back down, catch the critical zone again, and then get a second move up. Usually the next one, or not usually, but every single time, the next one does have a nice waterfall of effects. Right here, you see an example. Right here, you see an example. Right here, you see an example. Going all the way back on over here, another example, and we really haven't come down all that far right here. So would that line up with a major pullback? Yeah, that's probably the most bearish thing that I can show. Anything other than that, I don't have a big problem with. In fact, looking at the 3-day jewel right here, it's a little bit too early to judge it right here, although we are hanging out below the super slope oscillator. Remember, this is literally the first day of this 3-day dildo. So until we actually confirm below this area, I think that it does actually have a chance to be picked back on up and marched into this zone, which is the zone where it'd actually be looking for a pretty massive retracement. So let's fade all the bullishness for just a second and talk about this. So if and when the light blue oscillator gets into this more critical zone outlined by the dotted red trend lines, that has been a marker of the past of major massive retracements each and every time. So it's a very specific setup that we see, but we see the light blue oscillator get in this region, red flashing in the background, and then a negative slope on that light blue, and that typically lines up with basically all these pullbacks right here. 30%, it's like 40%, 30%. I don't even want to do it out now, but you already know. I'll do one of them, but you already know about 40% right there. There you go. And so that's what I'd be waiting for. But remember, in order to get the light blue oscillator into that zone, that would imply that we have some more upside to go. So if Bitcoin does get picked up here, I do believe that you're going to see Bitcoin actually work its way into this region, which would take some time and would imply a lot more upside actually. So again, and then setting up for a 30 to 40% retracement. So how high can Bitcoin get before it actually does that? Who fucking knows? No one knows. I have no idea. And this indicator, the way that it's programmed, is it incorporates so many different things. There's no way of really knowing beforehand. And I've certainly been faked out myself by trying to think that I'm smarter than the indicator here. So I would not be I would not be looking for any sort of a move like that until we get that signature that we've seen in the past. And until we get that, I'd still be kind of just sitting back, and I'm going to be happy to share that information with you all. But for now, still not present. Even though I've been talking about it for months now, it just hasn't gotten into that region. So no potential just yet. Let's go over here to the weekly. So if the weekly closes anywhere like this or anywhere above 11,000, I would consider that a very, very good close on the weekly, and would likely incite some more continuation to the upside. But the thing is that we actually have a little bit of a DeLorean right now. We have a time machine, and it's called the CME futures, and CME futures already have closed for the weekend, right? They've closed yesterday, Friday, on at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we do see that they actually closed right around 11,170. So a little bit down below spot actually, because these do trade at a premium, right? Premium of about 200, maybe $300. But this would be okay. We have kind of a reversal dildo right here to the downside. Then we have a reversal dildo right here to the upside. Now let's do something else. Let's actually put on the 9 exponential. It's going to be represented by the yellow trend line. And what do we have? We didn't even get down and test that. Holy shit. That's concerning to me. When you do have your pullbacks on macro trends, and we're talking about, looking at the daily and weekly, I actually do want to see a pullback to the 9x bench moving average. That's something that my mentor used to use a lot when judging the more long-term trend. And let's go to spot charts for a second and see how it held up. Let's see if it was any closer. Yeah, it was a lot closer here. Actually, a lot better. So I would say that the next tick actually probably does bring it up. So I would say that looks potentially a lot healthier. And I think, I'd really starting to switch around to be bullish once again. If I'm just looking at this, I would be saying that. Anyways, I'm gonna put back on the 21 and swap that guy out. There we go, and get that off right on over there. And let's look at our oscillators here. We do see weekly RSI. Scary to say the least, but until we actually get confirmed divergence, I wouldn't be calling any sort of a tops just yet. You can see that we came back down and tested the exponential not so long ago, and so far so good. Even though I would say that this is a ticking time bomb, it certainly is. It's building up major divergences. All higher time frames are building up major divergences. So there will be a pretty massive pullback, probably in the next month or two. But for now, still okay. We do see weekly Stokes taking a nosedive here. Again, another not so bullish thing, but until we actually see this play out, it's all hearsay. Again, the last time that we actually even got into this region was actually December 2017, when Bitcoin was around $20,000, leading up into this fun times for most people. Let's go over and check out the monthly just for a second, and then I'll get on to the other top shitcoins. And we do see monthly still looking good to me. Again, this was why I was saying, hey, long term, I am bullish on this one. And with regards to the monthly and the quarterly, of course. So I do think that as you can see right here, as long as we maintain even even anywhere above 9,000, this looks fucking good, man. Just looks like a pullback. It looks like a little bit of profit taking right here, and then getting ready for another move. We do see monthly Stokes looking very erect. They've gotten out of the bearish control zone for the first time in well over a year. I mean, this is powerful shit right here. Same thing with the monthly RSI, making its way into the critical zone. Sorry, not the critical zone, but the bullish control zone, which admittedly the first time that we actually got back into this region of the past market cycle did actually result in a nice pullback to the tune of about 30 to 40% right here, I believe it was. Yeah, right here. Yeah, about 35% it looks like. So it would be a little bit, it's kind of setting itself up, but for now still okay. And more importantly, we do see the monthly jewel actually crossing up above the above the pink oscillator right here. So I would say that's actually good. This is back above the fib if you're looking at this from that perspective as well. So both these things confluent with each other, and well, looking more or less good if you want to call it that. And of course, if we want, I guess we'll just briefly touch on the quarterly while we're here as well. Here's your quarterly chart. And quarterly chart, I'd have to be mega bullish on the quarterly chart, just in the way that it closed on the on the last on this last dildo here that we saw. What was it, about a week ago? Actually, about 6 days ago. Was when we closed the last quarterly dildo. We do see quarterly Stokes crossing up to the upside for the first time in a couple of years. We do see quarterly RSI regaining the exponential here, and more importantly, or just as important, we do see the quarterly the last quarterly close right at the top of the 200 bands, which to me is, well, looking pretty fucking good. The reason why I say that, and let me actually just take things off right here. The reason why I say that is because when you close this close to an upper or lower band, it's usually setting up for it to actually start pushing once again, which we see, back in 2016 was the last time, and that led up to a 2-year rally to the upside. So the second that we start pushing that, and the second that we actually close a quarterly dildo above that, I'd have to say, when you look at it from this perspective, it's actually, and I'm gonna sound, again, if I'm just gonna take the bull tardiness to another level here, but before end of year, 20,000 is actually it's actually likely. I'll put it that way. It's actually likely. Let me take this off. Let's talk about some. I'm sounding way too bullish right now. God damn. Let's go check out the expected moves chart. Again, expected moves based off of historical volatility ranges, and this first standard deviation area right here between about 10,009 and to the upside about 12,140. If we do reach the upside, which, by the way, when you see that angle to the upside, when you see this actually more sorry, when you see those ranges actually pointed in a direction, it usually aligns with the trend being, still in that direction. So you see, all the way up through here, we basically had just straight up, and in all the rings, but especially the first standard deviation is just slightly having an upslope. If you could kind of draw them both, I suppose. And you see the same thing happening right here with the advent of yesterday. So if we actually do make it towards this one, which is the first standard deviation, remember that's the most likely one. It's 68% likely, or I believe it's 68%. I'm just going to say 69 because it's a better number. But the second that we do that, and the second that we take out, this high right here, those things would happen concurrently, and that's going to lead on into the lower time frames, as we spoke about, having the next leg up likely towards 13,000. So again, it's an avalanche of effects, and that is kind of the more bullish route that I'd see happening. If it is going to happen, that's what I'd be looking for. So the next sort of macro thing to happen is taking out this local top right here at about $12,050. It looks like. Of course, let's get back into our spot charts. Let's also talk about the other top shitcoins, of which I've a lot to say about this right now. We're not seeing the other top shitcoins follow through. In fact, they're kind of getting beat up in the same way. But here's the question. Do we see altcoins follow Bitcoin if Bitcoin goes up in US dollar and altcoins go up in US dollar? Of course, if Bitcoin goes up in US dollar, altcoins probably going to get shreked once again in the Bitcoin pairing. But we see Mr. Beater right here really struggling, but I do think that if Bitcoin does catch a bid and actually does work its way up, you're going to see Mr. Buteral work his way back towards about 330-ish region. We do see daily Stokes getting way down here as price action moves down as well. What about weekly? Yeah, weekly's not looking too damn strong either, but I guess we're gonna have to go down to the lower time frames and kind of chart this one out a little bit more steadily. Yeah, and this is what I was talking about yesterday. You could use the 4-hour 200 exponential moving average to kind of judge trend, and we actually just based off it. We never broke it. And again, just an easy way to be a buyer right there and manage risk right below. And same thing would happen right now. So would I be buying right now? No, not really. Because for me, it's too much from a risk appetite. Going all the way back down here would be the only kind of area that makes sense, in my opinion, to manage risk off of. But if you caught that trade yesterday, basically in confluence with Bitcoin putting in its local low, I think you're in a good place right now. It probably does. Follow through with Bitcoin, although Bitcoin seems to be the bigger percentage gainer pretty much amongst all of the market. Looking at this right here, next move up would likely be towards 302.5. And if we do break 302.5, I'd be looking for that next move towards 320-ish region. By the same token, I'd get bearish on this one if we do break 280 to the downside. I'd be looking for a move at the very least to about 250 and probably lower over time. Mrs. Litecoin, what's this beautiful bitch doing? Is she holding on as well? You see the same thing here, just creating a series of higher lows, just barely. It looks like it's holding on for dear life. We do see that there is actually a 4-hour death cross inbound. So if Mrs. Litecoin fails to rally relatively soon, she will get a death cross, and the 4-hour does seem to hold a lot of weight actually in cryptocurrencies. So I would say that's, that would be the impetus for getting sent back down to, 110 to 100-ish region. But for right now, I think that it probably follows through with Bitcoin. I think that it actually probably pulls through here. Whenever I see these kind of rounded bottoms, I actually like that. Anywhere, if Mrs. Litecoin can even trade back above 120.5, she'll salvage herself from a death cross and probably catch a free ride back towards, the mid 120 region. Of course, looking at daily here, what do we look like? And we spoke about this yesterday as well, just using the green 50 exponential moving average. You can see that it still hasn't broke here, albeit really cutting it close. So, but yeah, those are the two areas that I want to be aware of. Looking at let's look at Link. What's Link doing? Link not stinky at all. Fucking beautiful Link is what we should be calling it, and looking pretty damn good here actually. Just coming back down, testing the red 10 simple, and I do, again, just very easy trade to manage off of, especially just using the low of this wick at 30,000 Satoshis even. I think this one does have some more room to roll, actually. It looks to me like it's just kind of creating a nice little consolidation. I'm going to guess that's what we're going to see better on the 4-hour and exactly, right? As long as Link maintains about 28,500, I like it, and I do think that this is just kind of flagging out right now, preparing for a move higher once again. In fact, we've created a nice trading range right here, and we can make a measure move based off of this, so let's just briefly do it. Again, a very poor way of doing it because I just want to get through this one fast. But about 44,000 Satoshis would be the target if if we can break back above 36,000 satoshis. If we can close a 4-hour dildo above there, then yes, I'd be looking for that move to occur. Cardano, what's Cardano doing? I do think that Cardano tries a little bit of a run here towards 690, maybe 700 if it gets a little bit more lucky. Where's oh my god, the daily's just getting so nope. I take that back. This looks awful. Most alts versus Bitcoin look awful, and of course I'm not picking on Cardano here. If I show the US dollar chart, it's going to look probably in some way similar to like Ethereum, Litecoin, whatever the fuck. They all look the same pretty much. So I'm just using this chart as a corollary and insight into the general altcoin market, which perhaps a better way of doing this would be looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart, which again, I've been bullish on this for a long time and I still have to be bullish on it. I don't understand why people are calling this a fucking double top or a triple top. It's so silly. It's so asinine. It shows that very few people, I mean, I don't see how you look at this and say, it's a double top. Yeah, good fucking luck with that, man. Good fucking luck with that. This is bullish as fuck. This is bullish as fuck, man. Look at the weekly stocks. They just crossed back up to the upside. There's no such thing as alt season anytime soon. I'm sorry to be the breaker of bad news to all the people out there, looking for XYZ chain to be the next Bitcoin or whatever the fuck it is. There's certainly going to be outliers and stuff like that. Of course, Link being one of them that comes to mind. But for the most part, most alts are going to get absolutely fucking wrecked by the Bitcoin pairing, even more so than we see right now. We are approaching resistance once again, so it is possible that we get a little another pullback, but overall I'd have to be bullish on this based off the weekly and based off the monthly. So higher time frames are bullish, lower time frames they can have their pullbacks. I don't really care, but looking at the monthly here, I mean this thing wants to explode. Very good close on the last monthly. This one wants to go much higher towards 69 at the very least, I'd say. So that would spell a little bit more disaster for alts. Again, I know whenever I go through crypto Twitter, everyone's talking about alt season now, and they've been saying that literally for a year and a half straight. Literally for a fucking year and a half straight. It is crazy. It is asinine. I don't know where they're getting these things from, but holy shit. Holy shit, man. I just imagine like all the people who maybe they just don't have the time to kind of put into this. Maybe they just don't have the time or they just don't want to, and they kind of just read whatever on crypto Twitter, and they see some guy with like 100,000 followers, and he's like, I like shitchain because shitchain is very, very good. They're going to have a blockchain pretty damn soon. They're going to have their own brain wallet. It's a great it's a great way of doing things. I'm forgetting like some buzzwords as well probably, but you get my point, right? It sounds great on paper, but these things are mostly penny stocks for most of them. Of course, it would be completely naive of me to say that's everything. All the altcoins are shit. No, there's certainly going to be some that are going to be so fucking successful. We're not even going to know what to fucking do with them. But do I know what those are? Nope, I don't. So again, most altcoins not looking too damn good, and we see that reflected kind of in what I refer to as the index of altcoins, which is Cardano, and looking very, 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 very bad there. What's BNB doing? And now we're going to look at them versus the dollar, because again, if we just keep on doing that, it's going to look even worse. I do have a problem with Binance Coin. But then again, it's the same thing as Mrs. Litecoin, right? Until we actually break $32, it's the same area that we spoke about yesterday. I can't really get bearish on it. And even if we do, I'd be looking for a move back down to about 29 and perhaps lower than that. We do have a reversal dildo formation on the weekly, but if you see this thing boost back above the yellow 21, I'd be looking for a move back towards 35.5. And I'd have a hard time believing that if Bitcoin does take a leap up here, you're not going to see all of the alts follow in US dollar. Of course, it's not going to be very good for them versus Bitcoin, but in US dollar, I'd imagine that they do kind of trade together. Zcash, what Zcash looking like? Looked like it put it in a little bit of a structural support right there. Again, very, 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 very sloppy, but I do think that it moves its way back up towards 105.5 short-term target and probably back towards 110 region. Again, granted, Bitcoin does it. All of the altcoins, they're mostly going to follow Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin fails to remain bullish, probably going to see them go down, choose a southern route. But if Bitcoin does work its way up, then yeah, I'd probably kind of throw them in there as well. Bcash looking like it's holding on for dear life as well. Again, this is why I hate diagonals, because you can always redraw them, and it's technically fine. It's technically okay. Probably does work its way back towards 420, great number. And if it can get it back above 420, I'd not just with the close, but with the tick, I'd be looking for a move actually back towards 450 after that. Tron, what's Tron looking like? Same thing here, if we take out this low right here, probably doom back down to 2.9. But for now, I'd say it's more likely to get back to 3.3, especially with the way that Bitcoin's looking. NEO, what's NEO looking like? NEO looks okay. NEO's kind of putting in its own consolidation, actually very similar to Bitcoin right now, holding above the yellow 21. Not as strong, but okay. It's definitely one of the stronger alts. And as long as we hold the low of yesterday at $16.71, I'd say that the direction here is up towards $18 target, and probably beyond, is this consolidation is looking like it's nearing completion as you see the volume kind of trail off here. EOS, what's EOS doing? Same thing here, probably works its way back towards $6.10 and probably above there. Again, if Bitcoin holds up here, you probably see it pull through. What about Mr. Ripple's nipples? Certainly on more the weaker side. I mean, breaking this trend line right here was not a good thing. Weekly does look kind of sick. Here's what I can say about Mr. Ripple's. If we do close this next weekly, which closes tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, anywhere below 37.5 cents, I would have to be pretty fucking bearish on this one, coming back down to low 30s, like 33.5 cents. But for now, again, I'll still just go with Bitcoin's direction. Monero, great move by Monero yesterday. This is exactly what you want to see. Monero, one of the more strong ones, and I do think that this is probably what you're going to see on a lot of alts. They're probably going to have a nice green dildo party, bringing you back up above that, above what are currently local lows. This one next resistance 101.5. If we do break 101.5, I'd say you got another move towards 117 and probably beyond. Stellar last one as I hold in my own dump, and Stellar looks like he wants to work his way back towards 10.5 cent region, but overall, kind of like Ripple, a little bit more of a weaker chart. Weekly's down around the 200 simple and 200 exponential, which I have a strong rule. I never short into that region until you actually break it, and this one's literally hanging out right on top of it. So I'll go back to Mr. Bitcoin right on over here and wrap this bitch up. Bitcoin right at resistance, right around 11.520, we'll call it. If we can close even an hourly dildo above there, I would say that we very likely have another run towards 11.9. And my personal opinion is that we would not stop at 11.9. We'd probably go into this blue box territory here, which is going to have the avalanche of effects with the higher time frames, eventually leading us up, back to our, back to those prior areas from a couple weeks ago. So I would still maintain this bias as long as we hold this trend line right here, 11,000 even. 11,000 even is a lower time frame way of doing this. Higher time frames, of course, unchanged from what we spoke about yesterday. If the higher time frames do, if we do see a daily dildo close below the yellow 21, which is 10,007, then yes, I would be looking for a massive retracement down to lower 9,000s and perhaps below. But for now, I'm leaning towards upside here, and I think I'll leave you off with that. I do want to wish you well on this, this lovely Saturday. I always want to be wishing you the best, the happiest of the happiest, as we say. Just want to be wishing you well, and I'll be back on tomorrow with some more video analysis. Looking forward to seeing you there, and take care.